Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to episode 235 of Empty Betters. I'm your host, Harrison Scholes. I'm going to toss it across the screen to my co-host, Mr. Nick Manella. What's going on, my friend?
What's up, you turkeys? How's it going? Happy Thanksgiving week, boys. Fired up to be here. Thankful for the both of you. Thankful for this podcast and thankful for the best sport in the world, which we get to cover every single week.
Absolutely. A pretty busy week with American Thanksgiving right here. I guess when you're listening to this tomorrow, and like Nick said, we're very thankful for all the listeners and the supporters along the way. I am now going to toss it across the screen to my other co-host up in Wisconsin, Mr. Mac Vogel. What's going on?
What's up? Yeah, hopefully you guys are listening to this on your long drive to wherever it is you're going, flight, drive, whatever it is. Yeah, it's Thanksgiving. What's not to like?
Maybe Thanksgiving, but I've already got the Christmas trees and the Christmas decorations up. Got ahead of the curve this year.
So
Ooh.
I have a new rule about
Oh,
this,
all
and I
right,
want
let's
to hear
hear
what
it.
you guys think because my mother was not a fan of this rule. So I think you can see where this is going. So my new thought process is for as long as it takes you, and by you I mean your household, to finish the Thanksgiving leftovers in your fridge. Once those are gone, then you can put Christmas decorations up. Then you can listen to Christmas music. But like you can't throw the food away.
Solid rule.
You can give it away because that's, it's in the spirit of Thanksgiving and,
Yeah.
giving. So that's kind of nice. But like if you're sitting there like December 5th and there's still like a tub of mashed potatoes in the back of your fridge, I don't want to see any Christmas trees. I don't want to see any fake snow, no garland, no wreath, and no fucking glitter ever. No glitter ever.
I'm totally cool with that rule. I
Cool.
ain't got a problem with that. I mean, honestly, I think in general, I see people celebrating Christmas way too soon, and I'm all for letting Thanksgiving have some time to breathe, you know?
I'm usually not a big like Christmas before Thanksgiving guy. Like you go to Target, it's all out already. Like the
Yeah.
dollar store, all the decorations are out.
It's like the day
Um,
after Halloween.
yeah, like even down at the Inner Harbor here in Baltimore, the Christmas Village is already fully built. Like it's kind of ridiculous, but in the spirit of the Baltimore Ravens and Philadelphia Eagles consuming my next weekend, I wanted to get ahead of the curve for the first time in my life on this. So I ended up doing that. House looks great. Getting in the spirit. It's a great time of year. I'm feeling it this year.
Is that what having a fiance does to you, or
I
Yes.
think
Oh
so.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
that's what I
yeah.
figured?
And I did none of the decorating.
I was gonna say that's kind of like the Olympics for them, right? It's
Oh
every year
yeah.
Yeah, a
there's
little
Chris
bit, little bit.
decorating for Christmas. So let me ask you this, Harry, your Christmas tree,
Yeah.
white lights or colored lights?
White. I'm a
Okay.
white light guy. I got
Yeah.
nothing, no beef with colored lights. I think it's a sleeker, a little more classy look with the white lights.
Here's a quick question for you, and this always bothered me as a kid. Do your families or your fiance or whoever, when they're decorating the tree, do they have like a quote unquote like theme or like a color palette for like the balls or decorations? Like is it like, oh, only red and blue balls are going on the tree this year type of thing?
So
Yes.
I
Yes.
used to know someone who was like that and was very uptight about how the Christmas tree looked. And basically, what would happen there is any ornament that I had got put on the back side of the Christmas tree
Uh-huh.
that was up against the wall.
Right.
But there was like
Yeah.
an expectation that we were going to spend like anywhere between 50 and $100 on like a new set of like matching Christmas balls every year. And I thought that was the
That's
most ridiculous thing
Jesus.
ever.
outrageous.
Yeah,
Very
see, we had
outrageous.
this massive box as a kid of like dozens and dozens of different decorations. And some were like, colored themed balls, but some were like wacky, funny homemade stuff or gifted stuff, whatever. A lot of them were super nostalgic, right? We'd all have our favorite ornaments and stuff like that. Until one year, I started hanging up all my favorite goofy ones, whatever. There's some caps ones I was hanging up. And my sister and my mom go, whoa, whoa, whoa. We're doing a blue Christmas tree this year. We're doing
Yeah.
only blue lights and blue ornaments. And I was like, fuck are you guys talking about?
It's not
We've
Yeah.
rock the
got
blue.
we've got an entire box of ornaments and we're not gonna use like 75% of them. And so after that, I was just like, all right, you guys do whatever you want. This is fucking stupid.
Harry, did you ever see the Christmas tree we had in my fraternity house when we were at Towson at Linden?
I don't know if I did.
So basically, we got a real one year, which was a horrible idea. Don't ever do that if you're in a frat house because they're massive fire hazards. But basically how we decorated it was, like the stupid little metal hooks you buy for the ornaments.
Yeah.
We just bought a box of those and then just bought as many different kinds of beer as we could and finished cans and then just like hung them on the tree by the pull tabs.
That's awesome. See,
And
that's
then
great.
like we had like dip tins on there, and the
Yes.
topper was a Taco Bell 12-pack box.
Oh, that's
After
just
the
Fuck
bars one night,
yes.
I think I just like smacked it on the top of the tree. So like the tree was growing through it. It was just a disaster.
Maybe Christmas isn't all bad.
I
This
think
is
we're
actually
overthinking
my
it here now,
this
ladies.
is
Like,
my
come on.
Ebenezer Scrooge arc is I had to get visited by the ghost of dip, beer, and tacos. And
The
then
ghost
I
of
came
Lyndon
back
passed.
then I came back the next day and I was like, I'm sorry, Tiny Tim. Christmas is actually really good.
Mac, going on your Blue Tree comment, and then I'll leave this topic alone. The craziest one I've heard, someone I know, I will keep it anonymous. It's a family friend, and it's kind of like a family thing. The son was deployed during one of the Christmases.
Okay.
Salute, Godspeed. They had all camouflage ornaments as their theme. It was a
Wow.
wild looking tree, to put it the least.
That's kind of sick, honestly.
Kind of sick, but also maybe doesn't look as sleek as maybe you might think.
I mean, yeah, but I do respect the
I
thought of
respect it.
like if he
Yeah.
couldn't be there for it, that's how they were gonna,
Like, if you are going to go with a theme, that's probably the best one you could go with. It's hard to be mad at something like that, but
Ooh, I gotta
like, it's
find a
also
picture.
probably pretty hard to see at the same time because like it's going to blend
it's
in with
like, where's
everything.
the
So,
tree?
Where's
right,
the tree?
exactly.
Yeah.
All I see are bushes, it's
You have
fine.
ornaments?
Right.
Yeah, it was an interesting looking one. But enough of the Christmas chatter. We just said happy Thanksgiving and we
Yeah,
already
what the
shifted it.
hell?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Little Hallmark pod over here. But
Yeah.
we have a very busy episode, a lot going on in the league. So just wanted to say that first off, we have an interview in this episode. We were joined by our good friend Turk. If you've been listening to us for a while, you know that he's tapped into the Bruins, I guess, drama, news, betting, all that stuff. We were joined by him to chat about the coach firing. And after that interview, we'll get into all the rest of the league news. Why are you guys smiling? It's throwing me off.
Well, it's just funny because it's like the Thanksgiving episode and it's Turk. Like it's like turkey, That's hilarious. I don't even think we planned that.
We did not. We did not plan that. That
Gobble
That's so
gobble,
good.
bitch.
That's so good.
you guys laughing just kind of threw me off on
Yeah.
introing that. But anyways, he talked about the Bruins firing Montgomery.
I know, but it's just funny when you introduced him. I'm thinking if somebody doesn't know Turk, which I don't know why they wouldn't by now, they're like, oh, they're bringing our good friend Turk, like a turkey.
Yeah, first time listeners.
All right, I'll shut up.
Maybe we're pranking him, but yes, he also did our Bruins season preview with us. So we're actually going to kick off the episode with him, and then we'll give our reaction to the Bruins drama and all the other league news afterwards. Before we get to our interview with him, I know Mac has a word from our friends over at DraftKings.
Sure do. The 2024-25 NHL season still has that new car smell, and the action is heating up at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. And if you're new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in New Hampshire, Oregon, and Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball. NFL Plus Premium offer available only to new and former NFL Plus subscribers. Additional NFL Plus Premium terms at nfl.com/terms.
All right, we're going to toss it off to Turk right now. Alrighty, well, it is my pleasure to welcome back to the Empty Betters podcast, Mr. Turk himself. Turk, how you doing?
Good. How you guys doing? Nice to be here.
Doing great. So I know everyone tuning into this is definitely going to want to hear about your take on all of the Bruins drama that has transpired over the weekend. Obviously, we got news that Jim Montgomery out, Joe Sacco in. Your immediate reaction and just maybe what the general vibe is up there in Boston about the whole situation.
I was at the game last Monday night against Columbus, and they looked terrible. Um, couldn't complete passes. Just they looked disinterested. They so sloppy. Two shorthanded goals. They gave up, and I just said, I said I was there with my son. I said, I don't think Montgomery survives this. Just the way they looked. Do I think it's his fault? I don't know if it's his fault, but I think they had to do something. Could they give it another week to let it kind of get better? I feel like they've been doing that for 5 weeks now, and it just wasn't getting better. They need to make a change. They're 2-0 since they made the change, but they've only scored 3 goals in those 2 games combined. They've only given up 1 goal in those 2 games combined. And the big thing for me was how many goals they were giving up. I mean, you look back the last 15 years, the Bruins were one of the top defensive teams in the league. They don't give up goals. And they've been giving up a ton, like 4, 5, 6 goals a game. They just didn't look like the same team. They had to do something to change it up. They did it. It's a very small sample size. They did win both games, but at least they were more Bruin-like, where they were low-scoring, hard-fought games. I actually, let me see if I can find. I took a picture of the scoreboard at the end of that game Monday night. Let me get it, and it shows like block shots, hits, and a Bruins team is always ahead of the other team in those categories. That's just the way they play.
Yeah.
Here it is. So Columbus, one of the worst teams, out hit the Bruins 22-9 and block shots 20-9. That's all you had to know about that game to say this team is not playing. They had to make a change. Right or wrong, they had to make a change.
So when it comes down to the coaching situation, I know you said you don't necessarily think it was entirely Montgomery's fault.
Yeah.
We've seen the Bruins not be shy about firing coaches in the past. What's your opinion on maybe, Don Sweeney, Cam Neely? Do you think there needs to be a change at that level as well, or do you think coaching is the right change to make right now?
Sweeney has not drafted well. We know that. We had the year where they had 14 pick 14, 15, 16, or whatever it was, those 3 in a row. I don't think they have any of those guys left. DeBrusk, who, the night we're taping this, just scored against the Bruins. And the other 2 guys, I don't think are here anymore. So you had those 3 first-round picks, and you needed to score on at least one of them. You would have liked to have hit on 2, and he hit on none. They had that team that they built and put together, and they went for the cup, and it didn't come through. Leading up to that, I was thinking, how much longer can you go with Sweeney? Then they had this run. Those last couple of years, they've been good. They're catching a lot of heat here in Boston. A lot of heat for firing 3 Jack Adams coaches. Well, if you lived here in Boston, you didn't hear, I liked Claude Julien. I didn't think they should have fired him, but there was a lot of push in town to fire Claude Julien. Bruce Cassidy was a ridiculous firing. And you've heard that was Neely and not Sweeney. Sweeney told him it was safe, but some players went around. Sweeney went to Neely, and Neely got rid of him because they wanted more of a player's coach. Well, look what happened. You got a first-round exit after winning a President's Trophy, and Bruce Cassidy's holding the Stanley Cup 2 months later after you get eliminated. So I think you had the right coach, a guy who was tough on them. It's just modern-day athletes. They don't want tough people. They just want easygoing, lighthearted coaches. Do Neely and Sweeney have to go? I don't know. I think the team is better than this, than the way they've been playing, but you're at the quarter pole here, and you kind of are what you are at this point. Zdanov, they signed a big tough defenseman, but he's kind of slow. I liked the signing at the time, but Sweeney doesn't get the revisionist history. We all get to, because we could say whatever we want and then change our mind. He's the one that has to live by it. Lindholm and Zdanov, they haven't done much. But neither has anybody. I mean, I'm looking at the stats right now. Pasternak, 8 goals. Marchand, 6. Elias Lindholm, 10 points in 22 games. They spent a lot of money on him. And then the second tier guys like a Charlie Coyle, who's got 4 goals, 5 points this year, -10. I know plus minus isn't a big thing anymore, but he's -10. Guys just aren't playing well.
Another guy I wanted to ask you about is Charlie McAvoy. I feel like we've kind of all, kind of looked at each other this year and expected a little bit more about this guy. I was just curious, is your sentiment the same? Because I mean, 26 penalty minutes so far this season. You definitely need that guy on the ice. I think when you're down a man, I mean, he's one of your better skating defensemen. So are you looking for a little bit more out of him as well?
Well, he's got 7 points in 22 games.
Yeah.
And this is another guy who's, your top D man. Yeah, he's a good skating. He's supposed to be a 3-zone guy, here.
Right.
He's a really good defenseman. He's a hard-hitting, puck-moving defenseman. Well, puck-moving defenseman should have more than 7 points. So you really look across the board on this team. There's not one person who is meeting expectations. Every single one of them are underperforming. Trent Frederick, 3 goals. Hampus Lindholm was the only one who maybe you could say offensively was overachieving, and now he's out. And I think he's out for a little while. Zaka, 3 goals. I just heard earlier today, Morgan Geekie, 1 goal. He had about 10 to 12 goals for them last year. So they're just getting poor play from everyone, no offensive production. And then the other one, the guy who kind of pisses me off a little bit, and that's Swayman. You hold out through camp, and I knew this was coming because anytime anyone holds out, they suck after that. And okay, you don't want to put all the blame on him and say some of the goals have been, goals on poor defense, and they have been. But he's got a 3-3 goals against. I don't know how many games this year he's given up 5 goals in a game. You wanted the money. You wanted to be the guy. You wanted to get that big thing. Well, then make a couple of saves you're not supposed to make and keep your team in it. And he hasn't done that. So, and honestly, Korpisalo has outplayed him. And I'm a little surprised that they haven't, like he's playing again tonight. He played Saturday night. I think Korpisalo shuts out Utah. I would have brought him back against Detroit just because he's outplayed him and to send Swayman a little message. It's like, yeah, you got the money, but you haven't played like it. And he's another guy who needs to step it up.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a situation where you could see them at least going to like a 50-50 split in the net, similar to what the Caps are doing with Thompson and Lindgren. Or, like you said, just shorten the leash a little bit. Just say, like, hey, just, gonna put a little bit of fire under your ass. Let you know that seat's pretty warm right now.
Yeah, 887 save percentage. Korpisalo, 911. And 911, 30 years ago, that was a ridiculous save percentage. Today's game, like a 91 save percentage is, it's good, but it's not great.
What can we expect from Sacco? Like, I don't know much about this guy. Is this more of a, hard ass than Montgomery was? Like, do you have any clue on what's going on there?
He coached in Colorado, right? He was in Colorado for a couple of years. He's been an assistant in the Bruins organization for 10 years, I think. So I'm hoping there's a little more of a hard on the players type of situation. I know Montgomery seemed like he was trying to. He'd had his couple of run-ins with Marchand. He's benched Pasternak. I think he benched Marchand. I think he benched somebody else too. Can't think of who it was. But to me, you hired the assistant coach. How much different can it be from what you were getting, what was already there? But maybe a different voice. I don't know. But through 2 games, they've won both. But offensively, they still look the same.
So you probably knew I was going to ask you this, but now knowing what we know, a quarter of the way through, basically, do you think that this Bruins team is going to make the playoffs?
So if you're obviously, you guys remember when I came on in August, I had them to win the division. Are they going to make the playoffs? I think they will. Because I just hope that these guys that are all playing bad can all come together here in the second half. It's going to be a dogfight. We know in the NHL, it's Thanksgiving, which is in 2 days, is the barometer. I don't know what the percentage is, but I know if you're outside the playoff on Thanksgiving Day, It's more likely you're not in the playoffs than you are in. So I looked the other day and they were in. If the season ended today, are they in? I don't know the answer to that right now. I can do a quick look right now.
They would just be outside. It looks like Buffalo has the tiebreaker at the moment.
Buffalo has the tiebreaker. Yeah. So Buffalo, they have the same points, but Buffalo's a game in hand and has an extra win.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think the Bruins play tomorrow night. So there you go. They're outside. They're outside the structure on Thanksgiving Day.
I do feel a little bit better about the Bruins' chances at making the postseason as compared to, like, let's say Pittsburgh, Colorado, Nashville, who are all struggling right now, because at least they've done something. I know Nashville's made like one or two trades, Pittsburgh's made a couple trades, but at least the Bruins have done something I think that can actually affect the team, which is, try and remove the coach just to get everyone back reset for a couple seconds here.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're have a much better chance than Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh is
Horrible.
I know they're top heavy, but yeah, they're not very good.
Not even.
Listen, the Bruins are going to have to play better because it's hard in the NHL because teams can lose and still get points. So you gotta right now they're tied, so they're even with the team that's in there, but they gotta get into a situation where they win 3 out of 4, 4 out of 6. They got to put together a run. But like I said, they've all played bad throughout the whole season. These guys are better than what they're playing. So they hit a streak, they hit a run here. I think they can get themselves into the playoffs. My prediction, but even if you look at like the division, they're only 5 points out of the top spot. So, I mean, everything is still wide open in front of you. It's just the NHL, it's very, very tight, and it's going to be tight throughout the whole year.
What scared me a lot through that Atlantic division so far is how easily Tampa Bay is still carving apart teams with all the departures they had in the offseason.
Yeah, they ripped the hell out of Colorado the other day. They still have they lost players. They're not as deep, but they still have really good ones. And they're still able to put the wins together. They haven't it's been a couple years since they've had a long playoff run. So, and they had that stretch of what was it, winning 2 cups in a row, losing another one. And maybe those guys needed a couple of shorter seasons, but they're still there, but they still have really good players. Look, you kind of bring up the departures, obviously not working in Nashville right now. All the signings they did, they're next to last in the Western Conference. I don't know Stamkos, what his numbers are off the top of my head. I can pull real quick, but I don't
subpar for what you'd expect for him so far. But
it's what subpar, right?
Yeah, subpar. I mean, especially given the team's performance, I think everybody there's kind of.
So he has 7 goals in 22 games. Yeah, I mean that's a pace for. You're right. It's only a pace for about 27, 28 goals, and I guarantee they were hoping for more than that when they gave him that deal.
Most likely. So I want to shift the conversation a little bit, maybe a little bit away from Bruins chatter, but what's the model saying this year? It's an interesting start to the year for everyone, I think.
It's been an up and down year. I mean, so right now we're back to even here. I had no play tonight. I leaned Montreal a little, but you know what? I got caught up with hockey practices and I kind of forgot what I was doing. Actually, it's projecting quite well. I've missed a few games here and there, but I'm liking what I'm seeing, and I feel good. I feel good right now where we are. Tonight it liked Montreal, and I just didn't play it, and they are winning right now, so I'm kind of mad. But I still like when it's right, because then I know, all right, what I'm doing here is working. But for plays that I've given out, we're just over the number right now, and I feel good about the way things have been like the last week and a half, because I had a bad stretch there, and it was looking like it was heading in a bad spot. And I've had a bunch of 2-1, 3-1 nights, so I'm feeling good about the momentum right now.
You got a team that you're like kind of targeting a lot. Like everybody's kind of got their one dog where they're like the Flames, for instance. They've been a good one for me lately.
So I had them last night and they lost. You know who is funny? Because I know at one point in time the Winnipeg Jets had 2 losses and I was on both of them. So it was nice last night to be on the right side of them when they beat Minnesota. Teams that teams that I've been on that I've done well with. For some reason, this thing loves the Montreal Canadiens, and I don't know why. And I go through it all the time, and I look to be sure everything's correct. It always picks the Canadiens, and I'm like, they suck. Why are they always in the Canadiens? But Dallas is a team that I've done well on so far this year. I like taking that Dallas team. Montreal was doing well with the overs early on, but that's kind of disappeared a little bit. But we know overs have been really tough. And I'm more of an under guy anyway. I love betting an under. I'm kind of the antithesis of Elio, who likes to bet nothing but overs. So, usually, I always ask him who you taking, because if I take an under and he takes an over, I never hear the end of it with him. So, but yeah, the totals have been tough so far this year. They have been tough.
He tweeted out something crazy the other day, like 33 of the last 46 NHL games all went under or something nuts.
Yeah, something like that. Well, look, the Bruins are on their way to going under tonight, and Montreal is on its way to going under tonight. So you got 2 games, 2 unders tonight. Can you explain it? I don't know. I don't know why they're not scoring goals. The totals are coming down, so if you look at the totals, you got 5.5s out there tonight. Vancouver, Boston was 5.5 tonight. And they're still staying under. I don't know why. Why do you think there's no goals being scored?
I've kind of been trying to think about it, because last year and even the year before, everyone would always say, God, they're getting the totals up to 7 a lot. I haven't seen 1 7 yet. And there's a lot of 5.5s on a daily basis. I don't know. Nick, you got any input on that?
No, it's almost like when you and I were doing this out of my apartment in Towson, though, we're back to those 2019 6 and 5.5s kind of numbers. It's weird.
If you remember way back, I don't know how old you guys are, but you go back in the late 90s, you'd see 5s.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Back in the Jersey trap, trap times, you would get 5s out there. There'd just be no goals. And goals have been easy to come by, but now this year it's right back. And it's funny because the Bruins are usually one of those teams that would have I'm looking right now at my stuff here, and the Bruins are basically middle, or flat, but I'm sorry, they're home. So this is kind of it's kind of, I'll tell you this: the Bruins' defensive numbers are much higher, meaning worse than they normally are. And there's a team who's always been if I would have looked at this, I would have told you the Bruins were always, whether it was home or away, were always 1 or 2 in defensive strength, the way I have it here, and they are middle of the pack and bad. Middle of the pack at home and on the second in the bottom half in away. So things have changed with them, but you're still not getting overs with them because they're not scoring any goals.
How much does home versus away play a role in your decision making?
So it's all in here. Okay. It's factored in. I split things by home and away.
Okay.
Goaltenders, I don't pay any attention to. I never have. I really feel like there's only a couple that really matter anyway. I mean, look, all right, you would have gone to this year saying Swayman, Korpisalo. That's the way I would have looked at it and be like, my God, there's light years between these 2 goals. But so far this year, Korpisalo has been better than him. So I've never really paid attention to goalies. And I do have split numbers here. And there are some teams that the splits are ridiculously different. I'm looking right here, the New York Rangers right now. Offensively, through their last 25 games at home, they are below average scoring. Okay. On the road, they're way ahead. So it does factor in.
Yeah, no, I was genuinely curious because I'm just interested what people put weight on.
I like to take road teams because I always feel like the home team is getting juiced because everyone's oh, they're at home tonight, we'll win. Home ice, you see it in the playoffs every single year. It means absolutely nothing. You get the last change, right? And you get the advantage in the faceoff. And that can be important. But and I looked at it last year at one point, home teams were well under 500 in the playoffs. I think home ice gets overvalued, and then I think the lines, especially in the regular season, they get jacked up, and you get some good value on road dogs.
Well, the model's going to be put to the test because I was just telling these guys earlier, the NHL schedule for the rest of this week is crazy. They've got 15 games on Wednesday,
You know, I
14
hate
games on Friday, and 12 games on Saturday.
that's see, and I hate when they do that. I really do. Do the Bruins play tomorrow night? I don't think they do.
They might be one of the games that don't. I don't know. I haven't. I
There's
didn't look.
15 games, so there's only what? There's only two teams then that are
Two
playing, right? After
teams. Yeah,
32?
Correct.
yeah, two teams off.
I wonder who they are. I
Uh,
hate when they do that. 2 games tonight and then 15 tomorrow night.
Same. It's a nightmare for fantasy hockey.
Yeah. I also I don't want to like put this thing in here and have it give me 14 plays. Like that's
Right.
the other thing I don't want to do.
yeah, no, I
And then
definitely
I
hear
got to
that.
kind of sift through, so I'm not playing 14 games. But that's what's going to happen, like with totals. It's a
Yeah,
nightmare.
yeah. Sometimes you just gotta send it and run the board.
Just set it and forget
Right.
it, and then just let it go, and
Gonna need a couple more TVs.
yeah, just figure it out later.
Well, we appreciate the insight on the bees. Good luck to your model for the rest of the week. It's going to be put through, if I'm doing my math right, it's like 41 games in the next 3 NHL days, so quite a bit.
That's a lot of work.
A lot of cash. Pay for
Yeah, a lot of
tournaments.
cash. Yeah, a lot of cash, a lot of work.
All right. Well, we appreciate you joining us. Thank you, Turk.
No problem. Thanks, guys.
Huge thanks to Turk for joining us. Always nice to get his opinion with how tapped in he is to the whole New England, Massachusetts, Boston sports scene, which we all know and love dearly. Uh, Want to say that I don't even, guys, I'm struggling today. Jesus. That interview was presented by Game Time, who Nick is going to read the ad for.
True story. So there, you guys know there's nothing like watching hockey live. The chill of the ice, the sound of the puck, and screaming for your favorite team. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Using their super deal, I got my Caps tickets for this week on Game Time, and now you can too. Game Time's deals make it easier to find the best prices on the best seats, and you can even see a panoramic view from your seats before you pay. Game Time's all-in pricing shows the total upfront, with no surprise fees at checkout. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code THPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use code THPN for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Gentlemen, fun fact, I will actually be at the Caps Islanders game this coming Friday afternoon. So, listeners, if you are there, shoot me a DM. We'll grab a beer or something.
Real quick, because I can't pronounce words or put coherent thoughts together today, apparently, and Nick just read that so effortlessly, it just reminded me of the days, if you're listening to this and you had like English class or reading class as a child, and you had the concept of popcorn reading. Does anyone know that term? And
Oh,
then
yeah.
you've got like usually the really smart girl who's just like the eighth grade reading level in second grade flies through it. And then you've got the painful, slow, choppy dude who just can't get the words out, has the most monotone voice, and you're putting your head down half asleep through class. That's how I sound today. Just wanted to say, Nick, you read that so nicely. It reminded me of a little second grade popcorn reading.
Thank you. I mean, the like 8 weeks in a row of doing the same thing definitely helps a little bit, but I do appreciate it. That was popcorn reading was pretty diabolical. Like, there's no way they could get
Fucking
away with
terrible.
that in elementary school. That would be considered like emotional trauma or something now. Or like, I feel like the ones I had even in high school where like you had to like read a page and then like the kid behind you had to do the next page and then the kid behind him had to do the next page and it like snaked throughout the rows and stuff. And you were like counting the kids in front of you. You're like, okay, like Susie's gonna do it, then
Yep.
Kyle's gonna do it, then Karen's gonna do it, then I am, and you're like, okay, so I'm like fourth in line, so this is my like page. Let me start like I don't know, practicing or getting myself ready or what. But yeah, it was diabolical, man.
And then the kid named Jonathan behind you, who doesn't go by John, he goes by Jonathan, gets like the short little end of chapter page, but he's the one who can't read. So you're like, oh, thank God, let's just get this over with. I, I have some trauma problems, but okay. Anyways, we're gonna move on from that conversation. So we just talked about the Bruins with Turk. Want to get your guys' reactions of the Bruins firing Jim Montgomery and promoting associate coach Joe Sacco.
I just think it's fascinating how many different Jack Adams winners Cam Neely and Don Sweeney have fired. and have just been like, oh, it's not us, it's you, you're the problem. I mean, at what point do we look at this and say that team had like 80% of the same core that they had when they fired Cassidy? I don't necessarily think this was on the coach at all. I just think they were playing like shit.
Yeah, I pretty much agree. I think too, if you listen to Chicklets with Bruce Boudreau, they had an interesting point about how you know, back in the old days, you'd get a trade or something like that before you'd see a coach have to walk the plank. Whereas now it's like you don't get that. The salary cap, they're not gonna go out and try and make a trade and help you out. It's just the coach is gonna be the first one to walk the plank. And I think we're seeing that more and more. I definitely think that the Blues have also had their eye on Montgomery for a while now, and that's probably going to be a pretty good match if I had to guess.
I saw something interesting, and I don't want to keep too much of the chatter on the Bruins because obviously that's why we had Turk on, but kind of shifting more towards the Blues. Pretty funny. I think I saw the Blues actually tweet this that Montgomery scored his first goal with the Blues in MSG against the Rangers. Then he gets his first win as the Blues head coach in MSG against the Rangers. I think that's pretty cool. But I don't know if you guys got to see his post game, I guess like speech in the locker room. Did you guys catch wind of that? Yeah. Just makes you want to run through a brick wall for the guy. And then the whole Kelly Chase thing, with the shoulder pads, like I could see I could see the Blues getting galvanized behind this guy.
I mean, they did it once not all that long ago, and who did they end up taking the Stanley Cup from that year? Just think about that. But I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about the fact that like the Bruins fired Cassidy, who got so pissed off that he just took the Vegas Knights to a Stanley Cup win. I would not be shocked if the Blues go on an absolute heater. Now, let's be real. The St. Louis Blues are not anywhere near the hockey team that Vegas Golden Knights hockey team was. And I'd say they were probably like a fifth of that hockey team right now. And that's no disrespect to those players. It's just the way that they're playing right now. But I totally agree with the fact that I think this team could go on a nice little run here. And I don't think that they're going to be shy about making some moves.
They play hard. I like the Blues. They kind of remind me of what's the we were just talking about them last week. I'm drawing a blank, but it was the Blue Jackets a little bit. Like they just don't really die. And I know Mac was talking about that extensively last week. Like they just stay in games. They're gonna be a tough out, and especially when Bob Tom's back and healthy. Like I don't know. We'll see what happens.
One of the most difficult barns to play in, and I would say one of the most underrated difficult barns to play in the NHL for sure.
All right. Well, we're going to move on to a trade that we had this week involving my Pittsburgh Penguins. The Nashville Predators traded forward Philip Tomasino to the Pittsburgh Penguins in exchange for a 27 fourth round pick. If you've never heard of this guy, former first round pick, picked 24th overall by the Preds in 2019, 71 career points through 159 games. Dubas is throwing everything he can at finding X first round picks that haven't panned out and hoping that something blooms here in these dark, gloomy days in Pittsburgh. Nick, I don't know if you have any immediate reaction to this.
Yeah, I mean, this guy was a stud in the O. I think everyone knew that. I mean, between his time in Niagara and Oshawa, I think we all knew he was going to be or at least thought he was going to be a splash when he got to the show. And um, I always kind of thought like him and Evangelista were just going to like work together and have this like insane third line OHL chemistry or something. Obviously, that didn't pan out, but I'm honestly a little bit surprised that Nashville pulled the plug on him this quickly, especially for a first round pick too. I think that's a really interesting and sort of telling thing. I mean, it's hard to doubt or question Barry Trotz when it comes to that, obviously because of the Caps bias, but also just because of what he's already done in Nashville. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, and they just did it with Cody Glass too. Like there's something about Pittsburgh and Nashville getting some of these ex first rounders. Like you said, junior career, former line mates with one of your boys, Jason Robinson.
That's
So
right.
pretty cool. Another fun fact, and if you guys get this right, you're pretty damn smart, but he was drafted right before a guy who is very, very good this season for one of your guys' favorite teams, or definitely your guys' favorite team.
Mikey?
Yep. Drafted
Wow.
right before Connor McMichael. Pretty wild. Nashville takes Tomasito 24, and then the Caps got McMichael at 25.
That's rough. What are your thoughts on this as a Penguins fan? I mean, having had time to digest this, I mean, it doesn't really seem like they gave up all that much. This seems like a low risk, high reward move for them.
Yeah, I mean, is it going to change the course of the season? Probably not, no. But do I like that this is, another build towards the future? The guy's 23. He's got talent. I think in his rookie year he had 32 points, which isn't bad. So they already have him slotted on that second line with Gino and Bavillier. I hope it works.
Now he just has to wait 5 years and Sullivan will actually give him playing time.
Right.
That's the Penguins Twitter response. Yes. Will he actually
Yeah.
play? When does he get sent down?
Not much to dislike about the move. I mean, it's like pretty
Yeah.
low risk. So
Yeah.
I saw this from I believe it's pronounced Michael Gallagher on Twitter/X, whatever we're gonna call it these days. He is a writer for the Predators. Can't remember what outlet he's associated with, but a lot of their ex first round picks all gone. 2010 Austin Watson gone. 2013 Seth Jones gone. 14 Fiala gone. 16 Fabro waivers. Tolvanen, 17, waivers. Tomasito, 19, traded. Askarov, 20, traded. It's like, holy shit. Every first round pick these guys get seems like they're going out the door.
Yeah, that's wild. I don't know, some of those moves I agree with, some of them I absolutely don't, but I mean, and I guess they must have not seen what they were looking for, but yeah, I think it does kind of beg the question, do you like maybe get new scouts or like draft better? I don't know.
Or development like personnel, I'm not sure.
definitely a little odd. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know.
It's a lot of there's definitely a trend there.
Maybe too quick to move on from some of these guys for sure.
Absolutely. Timo Meier, he was given a game misconduct for cross-checking Zachary LaRue on the Nashville Predators. Nick, thank you for putting the pronunciation in there for me. Meyer had a hearing on Tuesday and has been suspended for a game. Your thoughts on the cross-check and the suspension?
Yeah, it's definitely I think it's an ejectable offense in today's NHL. I think just by the letter of the law, the way that they're calling these games, it's like if you cross-check someone directly in the mouth, you're gonna have to leave. I do got to be honest here. If you're Timo Meier and you're a guy that is somewhat big like he is, and you cross-check someone in the mouth and you don't answer the bell, I do have a problem with that. I think you've got to sack up, for lack of a better word. And yeah, like even if you didn't mean to do that, you got to answer the bell at some point, dude. So I hope when that time comes around, it's not a situation where he avoids it or turtles. You just got to suck it up and throw him.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think one game's appropriate based on what we've seen with similar stuff before. So I got no issue here.
Just want to read one Twitter comment. We all watched the video on Twitter, and the first comment that has the most likes from at Old Potato has in quotes a little fuck around find out moment for that little dirtbag LaRue was known for being a dirty player in the queue. Maybe this will teach him a lesson that he can't get away with it in the NHL.
That is true. I'm pretty sure he's the one that like tried to javelin throw his hockey stick at like a fan or something. So, and don't quote me on that, but if that's the video I'm thinking of, it's pretty hilarious.
I did not know that. I know I enjoyed watching him with the Admirals last year. Dude's a stud, but I did not know that he's like that.
We move over to Montreal. No secret that these guys have been struggling this season. And then it came over this morning, Marty St. Louis making some line adjustments. Kirby Doc and Slavkovsky both demoted to the fourth line. Slavkovsky, everyone was talking about him in the offseason, myself included. He hasn't scored in 13 games, and Kirby Doc hasn't scored in his last 12. They're taking on Utah as we're recording this at home in dire need of a win, but those two guys are not seeing as much ice time these days.
Yeah, I think if you asked any of us at the beginning of the year, we all would have said that Slav was due for another giant step forward this year. I think when you look at his skill set, his shot, his size, it just all kind of adds up. And I'm definitely a little bit surprised it hasn't clicked so far this season. I know that they're about to have some changes in their lineup. I know Line A just got back into like normal practice and got rid of the non-contact jersey and everything. So it'll be interesting to see where he slots in there, but they need goals. Bottom line, they need goals.
Absolutely. And then some career milestones over the past week. Sidney Crosby, perhaps the only bright spot and the only goal in this game, by the way, might I add. He scored his 600th career goal against Utah. He becomes just the 21st player in NHL history to score 600. Uh, wasn't very happy in the post-game interview talking about it because the Penguins got absolutely rinsed 6-1. So that's always nice. Feel bad for him, even though he scored his 600th because we absolutely suck. But
When did Nick?
yeah.
When did Ovi do that? Like 4 years ago, or
4.5, actually, I
yeah,
think. Yeah.
basically 5 years ago. Cool,
Yeah,
nice, nice.
yeah. It's hard to score with a broken leg, but yes, which will of course happen right after our last recording. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. And then I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the fact that a Carolina Hurricane is now leading the NHL in scoring, and it has come to our attention as a podcast that perhaps the Hurricanes do indeed have a superstar player because Marty Necas is now tied with Nathan MacKinnon for the NHL scoring lead with 35 points.
Did you guys know that Marty Necas's last name contains all of the same letters as Canes?
It does.
It occurred to me last week when someone said you can't spell Canes without Necas.
It occurred to me today when I saw somebody wearing a jersey that literally said Nietzsche's on it, like in the Canes font on the
That's
red
funny.
jersey.
That's funny.
It broke my brain for a second when I was looking at it because it looks like the I'll have to send it to you guys, but it has like the same hurricane flag thing in the sea and it's just really good custom job, whoever made that. But
You saw this in the wild or on the internet?
no, on Twitter.
Oh, I was gonna say, damn, that's a hell of a catch live. But as I just mentioned, Mr. Alex Ovechkin, unfortunately, he fractured his fibula against the Utah Hockey Club last week, like 10 minutes after we finished recording, and he will miss 4 to 6 weeks. Awkward collision with Jamie McBain caused the injury. Your guys' reaction, I'm sure everyone wants to know what you think the Capitals will do in his absence.
Yeah, tough one for sure. I will say pretty much best case scenario after seeing the injury and after all the, worst case scenarios and worries came out. Really glad this isn't a season ender. Really glad he doesn't need surgery. A lot of people saying, what Ovi or what would take a lot of players 4 to 6 weeks might take Ovi 3 or 4. Trying to be optimistic about that kind of stuff. It's really awesome that he's not wearing a brace, not using crutches. He's barely even limping. I saw a video of him with the mentors trip with the dads last night. He's basically just walking like a normal human being, which is crazy for somebody who broke their leg like a week ago. But uh, that's Ovechkin, I guess. My greater concern is how he will play when he comes back. I really don't know what to expect. That's obviously a tough injury. Anytime you break any bone, you kind of lose a little confidence. You lose a little bit of your normal kind of mojo. So that's going to be tricky for him, I'm sure, especially as a 39-year-old who's never really dealt with a broken bone before as a pro hockey player. He's really never really had a serious injury. So that's kind of my bigger concern is how will he deal with that when he comes back. That being said, it was really encouraging to see the Caps bear down and get a huge win without him after losing the first two without him. Beat a real good Panthers team the other night when you're listening to this. So that was good. But yeah, I think my biggest concern is just him, how he'll play when he comes back. I really think the boys will manage to at least hold down the ship while he's gone. I don't think that we're gonna be catastrophically bad without him. I think they'll find a way to stay afloat. And luckily, we played so well beginning of the season with him that we carved out a nice little, I don't want to say lead in the standings, but you know what I mean.
There's a cushion.
There's a little bit of a cushion. We've got a little bit of wiggle room. So hopefully we can just play some basically 500 hockey is what I'm hoping for until he comes back.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. It's very reassuring based on like what we've heard versus what we saw initially. Just because I feel like whenever you see two players collide like that in the neutral zone or like at the top of the zone, like not really looking at each other, your first thought is, oh God, knee, ACL, MCL. It's like if it's ACL, that's a year minimum, and they're never going to be the same athlete ever again after that. I mean, if it's an ACL for Ovi, I don't even want to say it, but I think you know where I'm going with that. So, um, I think the worst part about this for me is it comes in like a 6-1 hockey game in the third period with like 10 minutes to go. Like there's just like if there was an option to like Chell franchise mode, like sim that to the end, you would have taken it 100 times over. But like you said, encouraging to see him up hanging out with the team on the road for the dads and mentors trip. That was awesome to see. So he's at the Wizards game, front row. I don't know. I'd be a little bit worried about, one of those big NBA guys landing on my leg again, but clearly Ovi doesn't care. So hopefully he's back soon. Hopefully we get to see him at the end of December together.
Couple good matchups for the Caps coming up. We got them playing the Lightning tonight when you're listening to this, and then they've got the Islanders, Devils, and Sharks. So good little mix of teams. A couple hot teams in there too. So it should be a good measuring stick for the Caps. Mr. Mats Zuccarello also found himself on the injury report. This was a crazy injury. I don't know if anyone has had the chance to see/read about this. I know it made its way around Twitter, but he ruptured one of his testicles after taking a puck to the balls. It came off a Brock Faber shot from the point. It hit Zook as it looked like he was trying to maybe get out of the way of the puck. Marcus Foligno told reporters that Zook's cup had a massive dent in it, and luckily Zook will keep both of his balls. He just has to get, I think, a little bit of procedure done, but that is a terrifying injury.
Just the word rupture is so scary. Like I almost have a pit in my stomach just thinking about it. But yeah, it's a scary clip. You can tell right away he knows something's really not right with the Stones. So man, maybe there is a God that this guy got to keep both of them. That's fucking awesome.
I feel like this cup needs to go in like the Hockey Hall of Fame. Like I feel like this should honestly be
Absolutely.
the
That's
first thing
awesome.
you see when you walk into the Hockey Hall of Fame. Like everyone can like pat the box where the cup is or something.
Yeah, I think that's actually a decent idea. Every dented cup, there's like two cups that you could put in the Hall of Fame. It's like Sid's Rimouski cup and then this guy's dented cup,
You might have
which,
to make Sid's Rimouski cup in like a double-walled, airtight, vacuum-sealed box
yeah.
though, so it doesn't smell like cheese all over that room.
Ugh, yeah.
Or so that people from the NHL don't steal it because they
True, Pierre
want it
Maguire is
so
gonna be like
bad. Yeah,
breaking in there
exactly.
every night to sniff it.
Right.
But glad that Zuccarello's okay. And one last guy who thankfully he's okay too, Brock Besser. He returns to the lineup against the Bruins on Tuesday night. Yesterday, as you're listening to this, he's coming back after getting that high, nasty hit from Tanner Jeannot just a few weeks back. So good to see him back. We're going to move into the discussion portion of the episode. But before we do, Mac has a word from our sponsor, Raycon.
The most exciting thing about Black Friday and Cyber Monday is getting an amazing deal you wouldn't normally get, except with Raycon, because with Raycon, you can get an amazing deal on premium audio every day of the year. But that doesn't mean they're not having any sales for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Far from it. They're actually doubling down on their amazing value by offering my listeners up to 30% site wide. Looking for a Black Friday Cyber Monday deal that you'll appreciate every day? Well, try Raycon's Everyday Earbuds. Their latest model includes plenty of new features that make them even more of a must have for any audio lover. For example, they now feature a 32-hour battery life and multi point connectivity that lets you pair with two devices at once. Raycons start at just half the price as the other guys, so they're already an incredible deal even before you factor in their offer of up to 30% off site-wide. It's time to save big for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Go to buyraycon.com/THPN today to get up to 30% off site-wide. That's right. You'll get up to 30% off everything on Raycon's website when you go to buyraycon.com/THPN.
All right. Quinn Hughes. Nice little 5-minute major and ejection in his game against the Ottawa Senators the other night. Hit Josh Norris from behind, and Norris went face first into the boards. The league and officials have since stated that the major and ejection were due to the fact that Norris got a cut on his face from the hit. Should this have been a 5 in a game penalty? Your guys' thoughts?
So initially, when I saw it, I said no. I think, and I'm still kind of this opinion that this should have been 2 for cross-checking maximum. I know this is like a hit from behind, and I know Josh Norris has been through a lot of injury issues, but I do have to kind of say stay on your feet.
Mac, your reaction?
I mostly agree. I think it was definitely the result of like the blood and just kind of how he made it look. Um, I don't really want to say it's a dive. I think anytime you get hit from behind, it's hard. It can be hard to stay on your feet. That being said, yeah, I think this is one that should have been reviewed and then called 2 minutes. I don't know. Is it possible to give a major without a game misconduct? I don't think it is. Is
yeah.
it?
Yeah,
It
you
is.
can. Yeah.
So maybe they do that, but yeah, I don't think he needed to be ejected.
I could live with a double minor for boarding. I could live with a double minor for cross-checking. I think the issue I have, or the thing I have the biggest issue with here is if you're behind the net in your offensive zone and you turn so you're facing the boards and there's space between you and the goal and you look down at the puck, what is going to happen next?
Yeah.
Everyone knows what's going to happen next. It's coming from the left, it's coming from the right. You know where it's coming from. You got to be smarter. You got to brace yourself for that. And I'm not trying to rip on the guy. Like I said, I feel really bad because I know he's had a ton of injury issues in his career, and obviously I hope he's okay and is back playing again soon. But I don't necessarily think that's an ejectable offense. And I think the best reaction of them all was Ellen Hughes in the stand watching her son get ejected and just going, no, like this is ridiculous. Absolutely not. It was a little bit too much in my opinion.
Well, the other thing is like, and no offense, but it's Quinn Hughes doing it. It's not Nikita Zadorov, right?
Yeah, that's a
Like
good point.
it's a little jab right at the edge of the pants. It's standard policy. Like think about how many times Sid or Backstrom like behind the net on the power play have just been abused over the years. And this is just a little minor like little tap on the top of the pants. I don't know. I thought it should have just been a minor personally, but
Yeah.
it's his face did hit like right where the boards or the glass and the boards meet, and that's a nasty spot to catch it. But that wasn't the only scary hit from the past week. We had a couple other ones that were pretty horrifying, to put it quite candidly. Leo Carlsson, he took a shot from Seattle's help me with his last name, Ty Carty. Carty?
Ty doesn't have a Calder Cup.
Gotcha.
Nailed it. Cartier.
Yeah.
Cartier, sorry. He took a shot from Cartier and left the game, did not return. And then Mac, you said this morning. I hadn't seen it yet. It happened over the weekend. I don't know how I didn't find it, but Pyotr Kochetkov just knocked out cold, like right in front of his own net by his own teammate on accident, obviously. What were your guys' reactions to these? Did you think one was maybe a little more brutal?
The Carlson one is weird. I don't really. I watched it a few times, and I guess it's like his hip that kind of gets driven into the goalpost. That one's a lot more like awkward and just kind of strange, is how I would categorize it. Definitely looked painful. Don't think he was knocked out or anything though. And then Kochetkov, that one is a lot scarier to me, just because I mean it's his head, and just seeing him, I don't know. There's something really weird and kind of freaky about seeing like a goalie in all of his pads just completely out cold on the ice. Like it brought back memories of Andre Pavlik for the Thrashers, like way back when, or was it Winnipeg at that point? I don't remember, but either
I think
way,
it might have been the Thrashers.
it it was either like the first year of Winnipeg or like the last year of the Thrashers. But either way, he when he just like collapsed, non-contact, just like fainted on the ice in the middle of the game against the Caps. But either way, very scary. Glad to hear that Kevin Weeks had said he's making positive progress on recovery so far. But yeah, that's not good for the Canes considering they've already got Freddie Anderson, just had surgery, out 8 to 12 weeks, and now you got this. So I think they're down to Spencer Martin, and then I forget the other guy that they just had to call somebody up. But yeah, they're down to their third and fourth string right now for goalie.
Fourth string is based on daily faceoff Yaniv Peretz, who has never started an NHL game, an undrafted goalie.
Yeah, I think
So
the Kochetkov hit that had to be the scarier one. And the more I watch the Carlsson one, it does look really painful. Like he almost goes onto his back like as he gets hit into the post, and it sort of looks like it almost like goes out of camera shot, but you can kind of tell based on where the head and the neck are going. It's almost like he's sliding into the post, like leading with that. Shout out to Lucas Dostal, the Ducks netminder, for immediately getting over top of him with all the protective equipment because his helmet came off during this hit, got over top of his head and made sure that all the, fracas that was happening behind him didn't spill over onto his head or on top of him on the ice. So that was great. But yeah, the Mac, I totally agree with you. The Kochetkov one, that was really scary. I mean, that guy, I don't think had any idea where he was or what was going on following that hit.
there was one video on Twitter of the Kochetkov incident where there was a fan right on the glass, like filming it, and that was the creepy angle because he's trying to like zoom in on his eyes, but he couldn't quite see it, and you're just like waiting to see this guy's like eyeballs and pupils back in his head. It's pretty scary. Um, but yeah, just a weird week of collisions for the NHL. But we might be having a few other types of collisions, maybe such as coaching collisions, because we've got a lot of coaches on the hot seat right now. It seems to be the talk of the town. And based on our interview with Turk, maybe there's a couple other dominoes that are going to fall here, but it would appear that the three most likely candidates who might lose their job next, we got Mike Sullivan of the Penguins, Derek Lalonde of the Red Wings, and maybe even Andrew Brunette for the Predators if things keep going this way. I want to ask you guys, gut instinct. What do you think? Like, are any of these guys going to get fired? Who goes first? Is there someone off the board you'd mention? What do you think?
I really thought that I think there was a game last week. I heard a lot of rumbling that if Detroit had lost that game to the Islanders, that was going to be it for Lalonde. And that's mostly speculation, so don't take it as gospel, but I do believe he is on the hottest seat out of any of these three. The Burnett thing in Nashville is a little weird. Just because again, I think that's a team that, they expected to get a lot better this year. They really haven't yet. I kind of expect them to continue to wait this out. I think it would be a little bit too much of an admit defeat move for them to pull the plug on him this quickly. Um, I would say Lalonde is on the hottest seat, then Sullivan, even though I would argue maybe Sullivan should be on a hotter seat, but I just think because of the Penguins' loyalty to him, he's not quite there. And then I would put Brunette three. That would be my list.
I like that list. I'm gonna flip flop Sullivan and Brunette. I totally echo what you're saying. I think the Panther or the Predators just did too much this offseason to then go like before December, okay, it's not working. We need to get rid of the coach. Like if in January, if we're talking about the same exact kind of problems, he's gone. Don't get me wrong, but I think for them to do it before the month of December would be exactly what Max said, just kind of like throwing in the towel way too soon. Lalonde, I'm honestly so like shocked it hasn't happened by now because I mean, we've been talking about the Red Wings getting better or potentially getting into the playoffs for what, 3 years now? And it kind of seems like they haven't
Longer.
really done anything towards that whatsoever, whether it's, I don't know, stopping the puck or, just getting within, I don't know, a playoff spot. It just doesn't seem like it's there. And I think all three of us want them to get back in at some point, obviously not at the expense of our own favorite teams, but I think we can all agree hockey's better when the Red Wings are good and they're in the playoffs. And then when it comes to Sullivan, I don't think the Penguins are going to throw the towel in there until like that entire arena is on fire and calling for his head.
Ah, Bubba, I hate this question, but I also kind of love this question. Here's the thing that I think about out of these, excuse me, out of these three teams coming into this season, I think I speak for all three of us. Probably agreed upon Nashville was the best team out of all of them, right? On paper.
People were picking them to make the conference finals.
Yeah.
So when I think of it in those terms, I'm like, I know Burnett's a good coach. I know they went on a hell of a run last year. They made some great progress, but at what point do you think like, okay, we spent all this money in the offseason. We don't exactly have a young core at this point. Like when you think about O'Reilly, Yossi, Soros, like those core three guys that have been there now for a couple seasons, like kind of feels like maybe Burnett would be the first one to fall, but I do agree that I think Lalonde is going to be the next one. I think the Red Wings are at this point, what is it, 9 seasons without postseason hockey? Like the patience is just running out. I was messaging fellow EB listener TJ Kretz, also a Wings fan earlier today. Just saying like they don't score. They don't score many goals. The system is not set up for them to be free flowing and scoring a lot. Tarasenko addition has looked like trash. He hasn't looked good at all. And then ironically enough, I was asking him, who do you replace him with? The first name he says is Mike Sullivan, who is the guy that I want to get rid of right now. So it's just this like very toxic circle of like, I want your coach, but you want my coach, but that coach is good and that coach sucks. Like it's just this big Spider-Man meme.
Maybe we're due for another Elaine Vigneault, John Tortorella, Rangers Canucks coach swap in the middle of the season. Who knows? Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I don't know. I just kind of can't see Sullivan having to coach all those young players in Detroit unless he like totally revamps his thought process. I mean, they've got a ton of guys still coming in the pipeline too that are fighting for roster spots night in and night out. So, yeah, I don't know.
Gerard Gallant still doesn't have a job. If anyone wants to take a flyer
Great
there,
point.
I will also throw this name out there, and there's a lot of controversy with this one, but I know it's been said, Quenville, he's out there.
And that's kind of why I feel really bad for Brunette in this situation because he goes in as the interim after Quenville's there, has an unreal run with that team, doesn't get brought back. They bring Maurice in. Now he goes to Nashville and gets a great job, is like slated to have this awesome new revamped team for this year. They're playing like shit. I'm like, ugh, I just feel bad for this guy because I honestly think he's a great coach.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm going to use the next minute of my life to just rant about the Penguins real quick, as I usually do on every episode, but this is pathetic. And Nick, to put it like very in like real terms, like you were saying, unless the building's burning down, they're calling for his head. We're starting to hear mild cheers at Penguins home games of Fire Sullivan, like just a little bit. You don't hear it on TV, but Rob Rossi, who reports for them, goes to all the games, Josh Yodes as well. Like they're saying there's people who are starting to try to get the chance going. We'll see if that comes to fruition. But they're besides Chicago, they're the worst team in the league. Like this is so bad. I didn't expect to make the playoffs, but I didn't think it was gonna be this bad. Worst goal differential by a wide margin. They're down 30, negative 34. The next closest is San Jose at negative 22. It's bad. It's just and he's got Matt Nieto in the lineup ahead of Jesse Puljujarvi, who's arguably been our best bottom six forward, by the way. He's a battering ram out there. Big body, flies, hits, scores big goals. And he's got Matt Nieto in front of him after Poyarvi's played great, and all of Penguins Twitter was like, "Why are you doing this? What's the purpose?" It's the young guy hate. I don't know. I've done this so many times this year. I don't want to keep doing it. I'm not going to keep doing it, but they are a pathetic hockey team, and they are truly a sorry team to watch night in and night out. Yeah, that's all I got. That's all I got.
Well said. I don't know what the issue is with him and young players, but like, I mean, if you have them, you might as well use them. Like if I had to ask you this, if you could steal anyone's coach or take any NHL coach right now, who would you take?
That's a great question.
Thank you. I thought of it myself.
If I could take any NHL coach right now and put him as the bench boss of the Pens,
And why would it be Spencer Carberry?
he would
Literally,
certainly
literally. I
would
was waiting
cer
for it.
would certainly be a name that I would put there. Um, I think I would choose Spence. You want to know why? I don't have any concerns about Sid. Like he's going to do his thing. I have concerns about getting the young guys into the big Russian star. And guess who's really good at getting the young guys and big Russian stars? Spencer Carberry. That's exactly what he's doing this year. So I would probably pick him. I'm
I hope this
jealous.
never happens, but I feel like Paul Maurice and the Pittsburgh Penguins would be a lethal combination.
Yeah,
I
it
could see
would
that
be,
too.
but I don't know if Florida's ever going to let him go.
He ain't going anywhere anytime soon.
No chance.
All right. Well, that concludes our coaching carousel drama, but we're going to move on to the gambling and fantasy portion of the episode, which, as you know, is presented by Prop Tracker, your one-stop shop for all gambling props, shots, rebounds, receptions, you name it, and they track it. You can get live updates on your phone when you place your bets in there. It's not actually placing real bets, but just tracking them. You get all the stats up front. It's great for doing shot on goal props, teams with the best over-unders, Colorado, if you know, you know. So go download Prop Tracker using the link in our bio. You can also go to proptrackerapp.com/emptybetters to get your first month free on us. A little Black Friday special there for you.
Speaking of Colorado, can
Yes.
someone buy Alex Georgiev a beer, please? Because that man deserves a whole case.
He also needs a new stick
He
because
does. And he might need a
can't
couple
grip it.
more after that. If you didn't see him just turn his stick into wood chippings via the crossbar, please go look at it. It's absolutely hilarious, but
Did you
like
see Miles Wood do the same thing and it hit
wild,
Bednar in the face?
wild.
Wood through his wood.
He did.
What was the final score of that game? I think it was like 8-2 Tampa.
Yeah.
Had the over in that one. Didn't think that was how I was going to hit it, but yeah. And listen, Colorado's been playing some decent hockey lately. Like they've kind of turned it around a little bit. But man, they got absolutely whipped in Tampa the other night. That was not a pretty look for them.
They've got the same problem Utah does. They can score, but they can't stop the puck from going in their own net at all.
Yep. Yeah, Utah, weird story. Like started out hot, Dylan Gunther on fire, and then just radio silence for the last few weeks.
Yep.
So it wouldn't be an NHL Thanksgiving week without just the wildest assortment of games you've ever seen. So the day before Thanksgiving, Wednesday, 15 NHL games. Then we have Thursday, we get off, and then we are in for a doozy for the weekend. 14 games on Friday, 12 games on Saturday, then 5 on Sunday, and that concludes the weekend. But shout out to the schedule makers because we have a shit ton of hockey between Wednesday and Saturday.
And a shit ton of fantasy decisions to make because, of course, it's either every team plays or one team plays.
Seems to be the trend. Going to be a whole lot of bets going on Black Friday, but just wanted to warn everybody about that. Couple teams I just want to talk about, not so much like player focus, but team focus. Max sent a meme about this team to our group chat the other day, and I thought it was so accurate. It was the Calgary Flames, and I can't remember exactly what the meme was, but it was kind of just like, what the fuck is this? Like, why are we good at hockey? Why are we second in the Pacific Division right now? Well, a big reason is their goaltender, Dustin Wolf. He is maybe the hottest goalie in the league right now. Best value to bet on for sure. He's 4-1 in his last 5 starts. Just lost his most recent one against the Senators, but they also took 10 penalties that game, so not sure how much you can blame him. but he is putting his name into the hat for Calder Trophy. This kid has looked really good. A goalie has not won the Calder in 15 years. So that would be pretty impressive if he could somehow pull that off. But the Flames are 6-2-2 in their last 10. Um, Also, a weird stat here for you guys. Rasmus Anderson has 13 points on the year. That is the lowest leading point total on any team in the NHL.
That's wild.
Mac, are you looking something up?
I am.
Why?
I want to know who that Calder Trophy winner
I
is.
think I know who it
I
is.
don't want you to because I'm saving that for the.
Okay, I didn't look it up yet. I won't.
Okay, that's my little spoiler alert trivia
All
question
right.
at the
All
end,
right.
and I have a supplemental question to it too, so it'll
All
be
right.
fun.
Cool. All right. I X'd out the tab before I saw the result.
Okay, love that. Saw your face going. I was like, oh, he's doing the thing where I need to stop him.
Fair enough. That is a
Um,
wild stat though about Anderson.
Yeah, 13 points, and he's leading the team in points. There's I can't even remember what the
Crazy.
next closest was, but yeah. Let's chat some San Jose Sharks here. They go to overtime a fuck ton, to put it quite frankly. They lead the NHL in OT and shootout losses with 5. So if you like betting draws, go for it. You can usually get the Sharks at +1.5. So even if they lose by 1, you win. Go for it. 4 of their last 10 games have gone to overtime or a shootout. And also shout out to Celebrini. He just looks awesome right now. Those old school tack skates that he's rocking, the little TJ where it looks like it should go over the toe, but it doesn't. It's just so swagged out. 2 goals the other night against LA. A lot of people starting to say maybe he's better than Bedard. I've been
That's
seeing that
wild
online.
to me. That is wild. Like both of them are unbelievable hockey players, but like I mean, Harry, you were kind of asking for it. You're like, I wish, you were saying it about McDavid. You're like, I wish he had like a foil or something. Maybe Bedard's got his right there.
He might. Someone in the West too that they can actually face each other somewhat a decent amount. But Celebrini looks great. Good
Yeah,
for him.
shout out to the Sharks too for retiring Jumbo's number. That looked awesome. That was just such a cool thing to see. And all the hilarious Jumbo clips that have been going around online, like just in, coincidence with that was just so cool.
Listen to Chicklets and Jeff Merrick was on there, and he had one point about Joe that there's only one player left in the NHL who does this, and I want to see if maybe you guys can guess. But he loved how Joe always did the shirtless interviews. Because it's just like it just screams beer league, right? Like you're just like, yeah, tarps off, pants on, like kind of just barely sipping a water. Do you know who the other NHL players currently that still does that?
Is it Kucherov?
Okay, so he
Only when he
there
wins the
might
Stanley
Only
Cup.
when, yeah, I was gonna say
yeah.
only when he wins the cup.
There's one who does it routinely.
Is it Ryan Lomberg?
You have the first name of the player right.
Okay.
Reeves, O'Reilly.
Reeves.
Yeah.
Of course, right.
So what's
Yeah.
that like 2 interviews a year?
Yeah.
Right.
For the 2 games he gets. But we're gonna move on to one last team. If you're still with us, shout out to you because this is probably a long episode. This is the gold mine. This is where you make the money. This is where you say it was worth listening to the entire 1 hour and 30 to 40 minute episode of EB this week. Ring the emergency bell. Tell your family, tell your friends. This Friday, Black Friday, you want to go shopping. You're feeling guilty about your credit card bill next week when you see it. You can pay it all off. This is not financial advice. You can pay it all off on Friday if you just bet the Buffalo Sabres. You might be asking yourself, Harry, why would I bet Buffalo? Well, they're hot. They're 7-3 in their last 10. They're sitting in a playoff spot. They're on a 3-game heater. And they're wearing their goat head jerseys on Friday against the Vancouver Canucks. You must bet the Sabres with the goat heads. It's mandatory.
Yeah, that makes way too much sense to me. That's gonna happen.
Well, I am gonna be in Illinois for
And it does seem to be illegal over there.
It does.
Taking
But
notes.
yeah, I saw that and I always set a reminder when I see that where I'm like, they got to be wearing the goat heads. You always bet on that. They never lose in them. So it should be a good game. It might be a daytime game. I can't remember if someone wants to fact check that, but like I think there's some stat like Goathead Dame afternoon games are they're like undefeated or something crazy.
I
But
would believe it.
yeah, so that concludes the episode, but we're gonna do a little bit of trivia before we get out of here. I know it was spoiled a tiny bit earlier. But I am gonna ask it, and I'll pull this up here real quick. Bear with me because I need to figure out how to phrase it. Who was the 2008, 2009, 15 years ago, if you're mathematically challenged, goaltender that won the Calder Trophy? And I'll have a second question once you guys get this.
I'm like 90% sure I have this right. I want to see if Mac, you got it.
Was it like Flurry or some shit?
It was not Fleury.
Carey
Mark
Price?
It was not Carey Price. It is probably not a name that you're going to expect.
Nick,
I
what
think
you
Nick
got?
knows it.
What do you got?
Mason.
Steve
Oh,
Mason.
that's right, dude. He had a crazy like
Didn't
couple
he
of
have
years.
like 3 or 4 shutouts in a row or something?
Steve Mason, right? Not
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll read this little tidbit. Steve Mason, last goalie to win the award in 08-09. He went 33, 20,
For
and
CBJ
7.
too, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
that's
if I'm doing that,
crazy.
he started 60 games for them. Yeah. 33 wins.
That's
916
unreal.
save percentage. Yeah. 11 of the past 15 winners have been a center or winger. Fun fact. Now for the harder question, which is a little more fun. There have been 2 goaltenders who have finished second in Calder voting since Mason won the award back in 08-09. Can
Ooh,
you name those 2 goalies?
Oh,
dang.
Pecorine.
No.
Braden Holtby.
No.
It's a good guess.
Did I say one of them earlier or no?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
One of them you guys should get. The other one, you're going to laugh.
So since 08-09,
There have been 2 goalies who have finished second in Calder voting. So just say within the last 15 years, you're definitely going to
Yeah.
know the names.
Right.
And they're both still playing. They are not retired.
Really? Okay. Both in the NHL.
Bob?
Good guess, but no.
There's no way it's like Jacob Markstrom, is it?
That is another good guess, but no.
Rask?
Mm-mm.
No, because he probably would have been before
Well,
Mason even.
He's retired too.
Oh, right. I forgot you said that.
Don't overthink it.
Hellebuck.
Good guess, but no. I guess I could see why you guessed that after I just said that. That might have been a tiny bit misleading, but yeah. They're good goalies.
Was one of them super recent?
Vassy.
Yeah, one of them I would say is they're both pretty recent, to be honest.
Like Shesterkin?
No.
Okay.
Good guess.
And not Vassy.
Nope.
Okay. Me, who else is there?
Both of these players have played in the Stanley Cup Finals, both of these goalies.
Aiden Hill.
Good guess, but no.
Logan Thompson?
Good guess. No. You have great guesses, but like they make sense to me, but
Jordan Bennington.
ding ding, that's one
That's
of
a
them.
good one. Okay. Okay.
This next one you're gonna
we're gonna get this. Don't tell me it's like Tristan Jarry or some shit.
if it was, I wouldn't be laughing. No.
I for some reason I was like, I swear to God, if it's Ilya Samsonov, I'm gonna like throw my desk down the stairs.
It is not. This guy was very recent. Even more recent than Jordan Binnington, who was second in 2018, 2019.
Oh, is it Georgiev?
No, good
Okay.
guess. I think I've said every guess is good guess. I'm gonna start saying they're bad. Oh man.
Wait, no, that
Is
doesn't
this
make sense.
player on a team that wears green?
No.
Okay.
I knew where you were going with that, but no.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Wait,
I'm dying at this, dude. You guys are gonna shit yourselves.
it's not a Habs goalie.
It is not a Habs goalie.
Um,
Darcy Kemper.
Mm-mm. Well, this one's fun. I'm enjoying this because I know you guys are just gonna slap yourselves when you hear this.
Justin Wool.
Nope. Played in the Cup Finals. I was singing "Oh
Oh, right. I
Canada."
keep forgetting you said that. Wait.
Let's just start going backwards by cup final.
Okay, okay. But he's saying no Canada. Is that because he played for a
Oh my
Canadian
God.
team or this guy's Canadian?
Oh my God. There's no way it's Stuart Skinner.
It is Stuart
Oh
Skinner.
my
What
God.
the hell?
That's so stupid.
In 22-23, Stuart Skinner finished second.
I say let's go backwards by cup final. First, the first one that's there. It's like,
Well,
okay, yeah.
that's why I was like, oh God, they're gonna like hate that they don't get this
Unreal.
one.
Yeah. That's
But
wild.
yeah, Skinner finished second to Matty Beniers, and Bennington finished second to Elias Pettersson.
Okay. Yeah.
I was gonna say Binnington probably deserved it that year, but that's fair. Honestly, that's fair.
Great episode, fellas.
Yes.
Fun little trivia there at the end. Any final notes before we wrap on out of here from you guys?
Real quick, give me the Thanksgiving rundown on you grab your plate. What are you putting on it? Like, give me the first three things you put on there. Or let's put it this way, if you can only put three things on there, what are you putting on your plate?
Hmm.
Mashed potatoes, stuffing. Does the roll count?
You
Yeah.
like, let's just assume you've got a roll on like
Okay.
another smaller plate in front of you
Right.
anyways. I'll give you that one. That's a gimme.
Okay. All right. Mashed potatoes, stuffing. I mean, I guess turkey just because like you need a protein on there, but that's not even close to my favorite part of Thanksgiving.
Gotcha.
Do you guys do ham? Anybody else get like ham or turkey? We get a choice
We
usually.
have in the past, the last couple years, my dad's done like a beef tenderloin alongside the turkey that's been pretty good.
That sounds good.
That's how you do it. I'll do heavenly ham. I'll do a little bit of ham, stuffing. It's hard not to put mashed potatoes on there, but I want to try to do something
The
different.
stuffing and the taters are what it's all about for me. That's
Yeah.
like if my plate only had those two, I'd be happy.
How do you
Yeah,
guys feel about like the homemade mac and cheeses? I have a theory about this.
They're
Ooh,
good. I mean, I think it's more of a new, I mean, I always love mac and cheese, but I do think it's more of like a newer-ish thing to
yeah,
be added to Thanksgiving. I'm not sure it totally deserves to have a
belongs.
seat at the table, but
Yeah, I feel like 75% of like the mac and cheeses you get like at those kind of events, like the ones that have like the breadcrumb topping on
Oh,
them, don't have any flavor to them whatsoever. I mean, maybe I'm
no.
just getting really bad ones, but
no,
like,
I know what you mean. The like
yeah.
Ritz cracker topping or
Yeah.
whatever, but it's like nothing underneath, basically.
I feel like I'm just eating noodles that don't taste like anything.
Hmm.
I feel like for my plate, I gotta go like turkey. My Aunt Angie's restaurant, they make these amazing exploded potatoes. Shout out AKA Frisco's in Frederick. Go check them out. They're amazing. So we get a couple trays of those. Gotta have those. Boatload of gravy. Um, yeah, and I probably have to go stuffing too.
It's hard not to put. Yeah,
Not a big green bean casserole guy, not a big cranberry sauce guy. I think that's an abomination within itself, but you know, not a big sweet potato guy either. Just
Aw, come
never,
on.
like never.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I
love
think
me
like
some
once
sweet
I
potatoes.
left the baby food phase, that taste palette, that color, and that consistency
Right,
can only be
right.
reserved for me throwing up Doritos.
Oh God. Oh man.
And on that note,
And on that note, have a wonderful Thanksgiving week. Enjoy time with your loved ones. Appreciate all of you for listening, and we're very thankful for you this year. So without further ado,
Turkeys dismissed.